You're listening to Mark of the Maker. Hey everybody, I'm Mark Steiner and you're listening to Mark of the Maker. And this is, I think we're going to do a little mini-sode. I have Mr. Michael Birch with me today. How are you, Michael?
Here.
Oh, that's what you went to get. Very good.
Hold on just one second.
I could actually hear the rocket pod ting, the tuning fork off in the background.
Yeah, I thought this thing was going to get warm, just sitting here waiting for us to start.
I didn't get one. I should have. I'll have to do that here shortly. Maybe once you start on your long rant, I'll go off and get a beer.
Yeah, you can probably drink two by the time I quit with the rant.
I'll run up to the store. Yeah, it'd be all good.
Yeah, with this new mic, though, I had to try to get it real close to the front of it.
Sure. For sure.
Big thanks to the Patreon and everyone supporting us with the merch and stuff. We were able to upgrade to these better mics, which is really nice.
Yeah, hopefully that's a big deal.
It's going to make Mark's life a lot easier. He's been putting way too many hours, like a part-time job, into editing.
It really is, yeah. And so hopefully a couple things happen. One, hopefully the edit thing gets a little easier on my side, which would be wonderful and very valuable for me personally. But I think everybody's going to sound a lot better. So we'll be interested to hear your comments on if my mic is actually the same. I've been using this newer mic for quite a while, but Michael got a new mic as well as Tom and Sean. So our next episode, you'll hear everybody live and in prime time on a fancy new microphone, but Michael's kind of the test of this whole thing.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I sound like Nick Rolfe right now.
Yes, it's very effective.
That's the mic setting I'm putting it on.
The Nick Rolfe setting?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants that.
Very true. Well, from the feedback, it sounds like everyone wants a Mark Steiner setting.
Come on now.
They're like, ooh, Mark, you got the voice of a angel.
Oh boy, Mr. Radio Man voice. I've been using the fancy mic for a while. That could be it.
Mm-hmm. Now, the only thing you can't cut out the drinks, my swigs of beer.
You want me to leave them in?
Leave them in. Let it. It's like people said a few times over and over. Quarantine rules. They're different.
We're gonna keep it real up here in the listener check-in / self-quarantine episode, I guess we're going to call it.
Mm-hmm. The social distancing.
Social distancing. New word, I think, that we all learned here in recent history.
Now, if you go back and watch Contagion, they were using it then.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
See, I don't watch a lot of movies. That's why.
We went back, of course, and watched Contagion and Outbreak.
Yeah.
Yeah, Outbreak 1995. It didn't fare as well. Contagion hopefully would have been more of an eye-opener for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, and obviously we're not trying to make light of any of what's going on because we are in some serious stuff going on right now. It's pretty wild out there. It's a lot of self-quarantining and government quarantining and everything in between across the world. But we're, what you hear over and over, trying to get that curve flattened. We're trying to do it. So everyone needs to be doing their part, but that means it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough for a while.
Yeah.
What's been going on in Michigan?
Yeah, let's, before we get into it too far, let's just let people know that's basically what we're going to talk about, right? This is a little mini-sode. Michael was available. We had a couple minutes to be able to do it. So it's more of like, let's check in with the listeners. We're actually a little bit behind schedule on getting an episode out. We do have two kind of almost ready to go. But you know, we're a little bit behind schedule, but stuff's been a little weird for everybody. Right? Globally, it's been weird for everybody. And I think we're all kind of trying to find our way through it. We just wanted to get something out to talk to the listeners, because sometimes hearing a friendly voice is helpful, right? So
very much.
This thing is really just kind of a check-in with everybody, see how you're doing, talk a little bit about some of the challenges that come with it that I think we've all experienced so far, and some that we expect to experience here in a little while. And just tell everybody we're still here, we're still coming to talk to you, and we'll keep going. So that's the reason for this show, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. No, we like to shoot our mouths off, I guess. Kind of part of our job, so we need to be doing it when it's important.
Yeah, not just when it's fun or history or whatever. Hopefully we'll, I don't know, stay in touch with people that, like I said, that makes a difference, right? I think that's one of the things that's going to become very quickly. It already has, but it's going to continue to be a big challenge with this thing is if we're doing what we're supposed to do, which is, doing everything we can to keep this thing from spreading fast, that gets hard to deal with from a social perspective. More so for some people than others, but I think we can all help it a lot by just staying in touch. And I know here in Michigan, we 5 days ago now, 5 or 6 days ago, there was a state order to basically close public places of accommodation. So things like restaurants, coffee shops, Starbucks, brew pubs, the gym, like a fitness center kind of place. All that stuff was driven by state order to close. They can still do carry out and stuff like that, but it's really, to try to minimize the number of places where people are getting together and socializing and potentially passing this thing around. And so we've been doing that for a little while, but you guys are in a different boat, right?
Yeah, we were one of the, we just now passed a 10 or less type of person thing like a lot of states have. And I'm not sure when this will get out. Because things are changing every single day, every single hour. But it took our state a little bit longer to come around to this. Hey, we need to be shutting things down. And I get it. It's rough on, the hardest hit are going to be the small businesses.
For sure.
It's going to be really hard on them because it's hard enough to run a restaurant. From what I've heard, the overhead and the turnaround time for paychecks and stuff like that is really rough. Yeah, there's a reason you see new restaurants pop up all the time and go away. And now with this, it's going to be even harder. So, if there's some you love, I've said this a couple times, and I'm sure tons of people have too, just try to support them however you can. We went to a place that sells great subs, and they sounded ragged. I bet they've been running hard, but they did a curbside, they came out, tipped them well, do that when we can. Buy local beers when you go to do whatever from your breweries. Try to support them however you can to keep them going. It's going to be rough on the other side of this.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've noticed this, to me, this is really smart. Some of the bakeries have gone from going to doing pastries to making fresh bread.
Right.
But only charging $2 a loaf or whatever. Shit, yeah. Let's not wait in line to buy whatever crap when you can have fresh bread for about the same price. It's some of these companies are being very smart, and we need to support them.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, so for listeners who might not remember, so Michael's down in Missouri. I'm in Michigan. Tom's in Arkansas. Sean's in Ohio. So we're kind of all in different spots around the country. And we record this in a remote call-in sort of fashion. And so this is a very interesting situation with this stuff that's going on because it's all been state-driven. So, we know stuff's way different in California, right? They've been kind of in sort of a lockdown kind of a condition, which isn't really terribly far from where we are right now in Michigan.
It'll be coming.
Yeah, but it's coming, and I think it's going to be there's got to be some federal involvement in it. And that seems like we're likely to see that soon. At least I assume we will. And I don't know, but it's all different by state. So
yeah,
it's like I said, it seems like the situation changes every time I look for information. It's been changed.
And it doesn't mean it's necessarily bad to have. I know it's very scary to see, the military roll in and do whatever. But I mean, we're trying to mitigate the looting and the things like that. That's why they're there, and but it's scary. It's scary to see that type of thing roll into your town and shit, to see some, all that stuff. It very much is, but it's trying to keep people safe.
Yeah.
Keep stuff from spreading.
I think that a huge piece of what happens with all this stuff is really around uncertainty, right? That's
the scary part.
That's the part that gets people, and really impacts people at different levels, right? Where there's some people that they're straight up frightened, right? And they're frightened because they just don't know anything, right? We don't have good information. It seems like the information changes fast. So as soon as you think you know something about what's happening or the virus itself or whatever, the information changes, right? And that causes uncertainty. And when people feel uncertain, that's when stuff starts to get really, really weird. And I think staying in touch with one another, right? Reaching out to your people, right? Whether that's your close friends or your family or whatever, making sure that, I don't know, we got to look out for one another. And
we do very much. And we are social creatures. I mean, that's just the way we are. We've always been that way. And it's not natural. It's unnatural for us to be isolated. Now, I'm fairly used to this type of isolation as far as not really leaving the house, not going anywhere, but we've been on, quote unquote, spring break. We were supposed to go to the Grand Canyon, but I started watching what was going on. Thankfully I pulled the plug on that thing, and I was like, I know, and I'm so glad we did not, because it changed so fast. They even closed most of the stuff we would have been doing. I mean, I guess we could have walked up to the edge of it and looked at the Grand Canyon, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And I was constantly worrying about what are they going to touch that someone else might touch and things like that. Started putting my protective dad hat on, and I was like, no, we can't. It sucks, but we can't do it.
Right.
And we got shut down for the rest of the year, which I assume a lot of schools will be.
Rest of the school year.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Which, telling your 6-year-old that you're not going to see your friends, she's a kindergartner, to be like, you're done. It was rough.
Yeah, it's like going to summer early, but I think the older the kids get, right, the more socially tied in they are, and it gets harder as they get older, for sure.
Oh yeah, and it's like Cullen had a trip to Jefferson City, state capital type thing. Things they were lined up and excited about. They've been working on this school, singing thing. It's all canceled. It's 100% canceled for the better. But it still sucks, and we're all in this suck together. But hopefully you have good teachers that are like, shout out to Mrs. Lowe, Harper's teacher. She's setting up FaceTime for all the kids to see each other. We're talking about sending, having the kids send letters to each other. They can, having something physical, whatever.
I love that idea.
Yeah, just write something, draw a picture. You can squirt it with a little disinfectant, whatever. I don't know where some of the stuff, but that's that connection has to be there. I worry about anxiety and depression.
Yes.
Some of that shit's hard enough as it is when you have somewhere to go, somewhere to be. And now we have this kind of overwhelming, I've had a couple sleepless nights that used to be, set aside just for knife shows, that I've just been like thinking, what do I need to do next? What do I need to prepare next for whatever, this uncertainty, like you talked about, that looms over us all.
Yeah. It's not comfortable.
It's not. But, I worry about the knife making. I worry about, people losing their jobs. I worry about all that stuff.
Yeah.
I have this weird, almost parental, and I think we're seeing this a lot across a lot of the knife makers, kind of a parental feel to our customers, I guess. to take care of them or to shelter them somehow. We can't, but you want to be like, are you guys okay? Are you guys doing all right? I'm seeing a ton of makers that are doing that, F-Rose and crying, and just a bunch of guys are like, how are you guys doing? Are your customers doing good? And I love seeing that.
Yes.
We're seeing a lot of the community. I'd love to see, we've been very good at raising money, the knife community has, to go outward, and hopefully some of that money we can maybe raise to go inward. And of course that has its own problems and people that take advantage of it, but there's going to be real people with real needs here.
Right.
And we got to step up and do what we can as a community, all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, there's people who I think for a bunch of different kinds of reasons, in some cases get kind of turned off by the whole knife community thing, or they get weary of it, or they have had a bad experience or had a bad interaction with a maker or someone else and, get turned off by the whole thing. But I think I find it heartening to see some of the stuff that you're talking about, right? Whether it's individuals or in the case of, the knife world, knife makers or whatever, there's a lot of people out there that are really trying to help, right? And not, it doesn't have to be help in a financial sense or physical sense. Sometimes it's help in, hey, somebody's out there that actually cares about me, right? Or somebody that's willing to check on me or ask if I'm doing okay. And, a lot of the people that we interact with and that are friends with, they tend to be more on the alpha side, right? Where they're caretakers or the ones that look out for other people. But the reality is that we all need that, right? And whether you're someone who tends to try to be a leader or a caretaker or whatever, everybody appreciates being checked on, right? And so it's a beautiful thing.
It's absolutely okay to need that. It's okay to admit yourself and to say it's okay that you need a human connection with someone. And it's necessary, especially, I mean, we can't do this alone. Nobody really can. I mean, there's a few people that can, but I mean,
some more so than others.
Yeah, the majority of us, we need, and like I said, the depression, anxiety stuff, talk to someone else. There's a ton of us. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people individually about anxiety and depression and things like that. So there are more people out there like us than you would believe, even in this very, like Mark said, alpha, whatever. I don't give a shit about that. Just if you're having issues, reach out to somebody. Participate in some of these groups that are running well. The Burnley group has always been a popular one. Tom's got a very, active group. There's a ton of different places to interact with other people and get in there, talk with somebody. I'm trying to set up like a where you can have a happy hour with other people. Sign it, just put your name down, and when you want to do something, and maybe you'll get some people to be like, yeah, I'll join you with it. Maybe join some people that you don't. It'd be a great time to make new relationships, new connections, and find people that you're, have more in common than you think you do. But you have to make the effort to get out there. And that's kind of the bitch about depression and anxiety, is that depression's like, oh, you don't need to do this. It's a wet blanket that holds you down and says, no, they don't want to hear from you. They don't want to, but depression and anxiety are fucking liars.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the truth of them. Don't listen to that shit. Get in there and get connected.
Yep, for sure.
We will see the other side of this. It's going to be different, but we will see the other side.
Yeah, so for sure it's been really interesting over this past week. This might not be accurate, but sometimes when I end up trying to help people understand stuff, it feels like I'm giving the disappointed dad speech or whatever, right? Like I try to be the voice of reason kind of guy. And when it cuts into this kind of situation with all this craziness going on, I have family and people that end up looking to me like, hey, you're a smart guy. You should help me understand what's going on, right? Or they want someone to help them feel better. And so I talk to lots of people about this stuff and, the rest of real life outside of that. But so it was really interesting for me over the last week. I had 4 or 5 different friends call me and ask that question. How are you, right? How is your family? Are you guys okay? Do you need anything? Is there anything we can do to help? And, it's not just neighbors, right? It's like people from other parts of the world or the country or whatever. And like you said, even if you're someone who tries to help and is the person that's trying to help take care of other people, it feels really, really nice to know that there are people out there that care and that want to help, right? And that just want to make sure that you're okay. And so, yeah, it's
very much.
It matters for everyone.
You're not going to hurt anyone's feelings by reaching out to
by
them.
Checking in. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if I've ever felt bad that someone was like, "Hey, Birch, how you doing?" I've been like, "Shit, man. Thanks for asking."
Yeah.
I've been worried about our California guys out there.
Yeah.
I've been like, "Hey, guys, I don't mean to be like a dad here, but you okay?"
Yeah.
Is there anything I can ship you that you don't have, or
Exactly.
vice versa?
Yep.
It's just keep at it. It's not going to hurt anything.
No.
Keep asking, keep seeing, and and if you are having issues, get a hold of me. I mean, I got Facebook messages, or if you have my number, shoot me a text. Just I don't know. We need each other right now, so let's do it.
We do. It's okay to reach out, and it's okay to feel good about people reaching out to you.
Yeah, it's not unmanly. It's not whatever to need help or to need consoling or anything. They're just a talk. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right. Yeah, one of our friends, John Hollister, posted sometime earlier this week, or kind of before this got even into the weirdness level that it is now. And that was basically the summary of what he suggested to his friends was keep your circle close, right? I mean, and that doesn't mean, that doesn't mean stack ammo on the front porch and get ready to roll. It means check on your people, right? And your people could be your friends or your family or whoever, and make sure that everybody's good, because we're all in it together. Nobody's getting out of this any different than anybody else. So let's make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, very much.
All right.
Good. This is kind of our touchy-feely episode.
Why is Birch always on the touchy-feely episodes?
I don't know.
They're good, though. I think hopefully this is a little bit like what we're talking about, right? I mean, we can't reach out to every listener and check on everybody at the same time. So that's what this kind of feels like, is our way to sort of do that, right? And if people want to talk about their situation or they're concerned or whatever, that's why we have like the Facebook group or whatever, right? I mean, we're there. Yeah. So let us know if you have problems, or if you're just concerned, or if you just need to let it out. Sometimes that's the case.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of venting doesn't hurt. I do it all the time on this podcast.
It's our therapy part, right?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Yeah. All right. So you mentioned something about, what did you call it? Quarantine beers?
Yeah. Yeah. Someone's got a can. What was that? There was a meme that went around that was like, I think Horton was the first one to show it to me. It's like airport rules. You can crack a beer at night and no one looks at you weird.
Yes. Yeah. There's been a lot of that going on.
Strange. Yeah. So what's your what have you picked up?
Well, I just went to the little special beverage fridge, and it's a Founders beer called Founders Solid Gold, which is sort of like an easy, I'm going to call it a day drinking beer. So it's a lager. Nothing fancy. Craft brew guys would turn their noses up a little bit at it, but hey, it's an easy one. Lots of people like it. It's a common ground beer, maybe between craft brew people and someone's going to yell. I'm going to call them normal people. Craft brew people and normal people. It's a good middle ground.
Oh. Are you saying craft brew guys aren't normal?
No, I would never say something like that. Come on, man.
In case you have to trade it for some toilet paper, you've got something that anyone can enjoy.
Oh, Lord. The toilet paper jokes, they have absolutely worn themselves out on me.
They've destroyed my... Talk about, it's like having a kid, you laugh at a kid's joke once. That's what the toilet paper jokes have been.
Yeah.
Like, all right, you don't have to repeat them 50 million times. We all know the shelves are empty.
Right. What else do we want to talk about? Oh, one thing that's happening, right, is it reminded me of it because you talked about the TP thing, the whole people needing to sort of stock up or make sure they have things, right? Because as this gets a little tighter, stuff got awful hard to come by. And so there's been a lot of craziness with the grocery stores and having supplies and whatever. And I think some of it's well-founded and makes sense. Some of it's straight panic that I think comes directly out of that uncertainty thing that we talked about before. And I, I've posted this in a bunch of different places around the web with some friends who've run into problems like, oh, I can't find hamburger. And my question is, have you gone to the butcher? In every town, I think, or maybe not every town, lots of towns have a little butcher shop somewhere. That's where I go. That's where we go to go anyway, right? I don't tend to buy meat at like big box grocery stores because we have a fantastic butcher and they're very well stocked. So like one of my neighbors the other day, we were talking on the phone and they're like, oh, well, we can't get hamburger. I'm like, go to the butcher shop. It's 5-minute further drive, but the stuff's better and they have it. So think outside the box tiny bit, right? Don't just go to the closest grocery store and then turn up dry and not be able to do it, right? There's whether it's go to the bakery and get bread or go to the butcher shop and get meat. It's a little bit old school, but the stuff is good.
Yeah.
They have it. They're usually much nicer to deal with. and
it's better stuff.
It's just better stuff. Yeah. So don't forget about those places.
No, we've been going for a while to a place called Harder House, which is, we love the place. It's very small. You know, it kind of reminds you of your old school, tiny grocery store. And we don't, I mean, it's not like we go a ton, you know, but we go, they know the kids. We get all our meat there. They have a good butcher shop there, a good, what do you call it? A butcher area.
Yeah, meat counter.
Meat counter, that's the word I'm looking for. You can see him back there cutting it up and doing it. I mean, it's all right there, you know, and then we went there. They had started doing curbside and picked up all our fresh meat and stuff like that. It's fantastic. You know, like Mark said, don't forget about those places. Keep them going. You know, not everything needs to be bought at Walmart or Sam's Club or whatever. And maybe it brings us back into that type of era of utilizing your baker, your butcher, your candlestick maker, you know, all that stuff. Yeah. Sorry, it was almost rote. I had to say
it. Yeah, straight nursery rhyme stuff. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great point. I think that's going to be true on lots of stuff. I think we're going to come out the other side of this thing with lots of stuff that's different.
Very much.
It's a formative time, this kind of experience. Better. Yeah, I hope so.
Like we talked about this the other day, how you were saying that it's almost like we really haven't had to sacrifice a ton. We've had some wars. We've had, you know, definitely, you know, troops have sacrificed, obviously. But as far as a nation, you know, as a whole, as far as our financial situation, as far as our foods and things like that, we really haven't had to be at a loss for much. And this may teach us that we shouldn't throw things away automatically. We shouldn't look for the cheapest route or be that kind of throwaway community. Maybe we will learn to appreciate the people that do this stuff and come out better people. Maybe, I don't know.
I hope so. I mean, I don't think we want to compare our current situation to people that have been through a war, but
it's not.
But it's an unprecedented thing for people under a certain age to, like you said, have any restriction on their ability to get basic things, right? Or not be able to go to a restaurant for dinner, or, you know what I mean, to go out and about. I think we're so accustomed to that it can't help but be a formative thing for people. It's going to change people's perspective. And like you said, I hope in a very good way.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. And the point of that is just being that they've never really had no told to them, or a lot of people haven't. You
for
can't.
Sure.
Why? You just can't. You know, we don't have the supplies, or we don't have the ability, or you just can't, you know, for the safety of everyone else. It's there's lessons to be learned here, and hopefully we walk away a lot smarter.
Yep.
But who knows?
Yeah. So think outside the box. If you need stuff that you can't get, ask your friends for help if you need it. Oftentimes, we have this, like lots of places around the country. Michael and I really like watches, right? So there's these groups of people, kind of like a knife community sort of thing, but around watches, and they call it Red Bar. And so we have a Red Bar Detroit thing, and there's a few of us from that group that talk through a group chat thing. And I've called it a couple times Radio Free Red Bar, right? Because some of the guys live near one another, and it's like, hey, this store, I was just there, and they have stuff that people want, right? This store has chicken and ground beef and, paper towels or whatever you need. And so I don't know, that's okay. It's really shitty to be in the situation where you're having that kind of conversation. And at the same time, it's kind of like, wow, look at that. People working together. That's, I actually like that, right? As weird as it is, and as crummy as it is to be in a spot where you can't just walk into the store and buy anything you want, seeing people get together and try to make a difference and do something positive is like very encouraging, I think.
It is. And I hate to compare it to like 9/11, but that we have that same sort of feel to me a little bit, that I feel like people are trying, like even on Instagram, some of the stuff's kind of weird and all that, but you see more people just being like they're trying to entertain, watching, what's his face? The late night guy. Abby's been watching him quite a bit. Jimmy Fallon. Just do it from home. You're just like, this is kind of entertaining. It's kids in the background running by. He tried to make a tent. It's just kind of like, it's very surreal, but at the same time, you're appreciative that they're just trying to do their job of entertaining, which is kind of what we need right now. We need something kind of make us laugh, things like that we very much need to laugh, I guess is the way to say that.
Oh, for sure. And I think part of what some of the stuff like Jimmy Fallon is doing, we've seen lots of other celebrities and people in the public eye. Lots of times people will talk about, paying attention to, I'm one of them, right? Paying attention to celebrity and whatever is kind of like this weird, wasteful thing, or somehow it's goofy, right? Or it can end up leading to goofy behaviors or whatever. But stuff like what he's doing, to me, in this kind of time, it helps with that uncertainty thing that we talked about before, right? Because it helps you realize, okay, there's a guy who does a big TV show and he's a famous guy, right? He's a celebrity and he's very well off as a result. And look at that. He's got the same problem. He's got the same things to deal with that I have to deal with, in that, he's at home with his kids that maybe he's not used to being at home with as much, right? And he's got to find ways to help keep them busy, just like I do. And he's working from home just like I'm working from home. And that doesn't make things necessarily any less uncertain, but sometimes there's comfort in numbers, right? And coming to the realization that nobody's in this alone, right? That matters, I think.
No, I did see, I hate to say it, but there was like, what is her name? Gadot, the Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
She did like Imagine or something. And a bunch of like celebs started singing it or something. I don't know, but all I saw was somebody put their own little mouth circa, the Conan O'Brien circa 2001 or something, like just did their mouth, and it was Tubba Wubba or whatever it is, the Tub Thumpers, whatever that song is.
Yeah.
And I laughed so hard at that, and truthfully, if you're looking for content, a little bit of, do some deep dives. Like every comedian has like a podcast. Do a deep dive on some of their older episodes and shows before all this because we kind of get inundated with the same information. It beats down on our psyche a little bit to hear quarantine and COVID-19 and over and over and over. Go back and listen to some of that stuff before all this and get to laughing. Get your spirits up.
Man, nobody likes gloom and doom 24/7. At least most people
No,
don't.
It's not healthy.
No,
at all.
we need a break from it. And
So
that's
do
what
what
all
you-
this stuff does, right? I think is whether it's hopefully the kind of thing we're trying to do with having this sort of conversation, or Fallon doing his thing, or whatever, all that stuff is all, like you said, it's a real situation. It's got real ramifications. People need to take it seriously, and it's okay to laugh, right? It doesn't mean
Yeah.
that your life is over. It doesn't mean that everything has to be awful. It means you got to find ways to make it okay, and where you can still enjoy one another, whether it's through FaceTime or phone call or checking in or whatever, right? Or spending time with your family. Those all very positive things, and it is what you make it, I think.
And I can 100%, I can understand. And it's okay to be frustrated with your kids sometimes too. I think sometimes there's a little bit of shaming, parental shaming or whatever. Someone's like, my kids are frustrating, blah, blah, I'm home. And someone's like, oh, well, you should be happy. Yes, you should appreciate the time you have with your kids, but it doesn't mean you need to shame other people if they're showing frustrations with their kids, because we're not used to that much time with everyone together. And it is harder. The kids are going to pick on each other, their siblings and stuff, which, makes it harder on the parents. I'm with you guys on that one. It's going to be rough. I've got a feisty little redheaded girl, and she can test the parental limits very much.
She's quite sure she is in charge. There's no doubt about that.
So, but I'm saying it's okay to be frustrated with the kids sometimes too, and to talk to people about that, and we shouldn't shame other people if they're like, oh, my kids are really getting on my nerves, and, it's okay. It's part of being a parent.
Yeah.
But the plus side of it is they're also easily amused. You can do the dumbest shit and they're happy about it.
Speaking of that, so Michael has an acoustic guitar at his house that I assume you got once upon a time because you wanted to learn how to play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you put it on Instagram and in your Facebook group. You were playing a song for the kids with the one chord that you know how to play.
Yeah. Well, I know a few chords. I just can't switch between them.
I know, that's rough.
Yeah. It takes me like a solid minute to switch between them. So it really, really interrupts the flow of my song.
But the kids loved it, right? It looked like they were having a great old time. And you're just
Abby
being silly.
Yeah, she came in and started recording that crap. But I was singing a song and they were just laughing, having a great time. And it was seriously one chord played shittily with made up words, and they were having a great time.
That's fantastic.
We played some skip bow. We played, the old school card games are fun. We've been doing a lot of that stuff, a lot of crafts. Look on Amazon. There's a ton of crafts to do. Some are fun, some are not so fun.
Right.
So there's plenty of stuff to do. And the teaching stuff's going to be tough because Abby's a high school math teacher, which has its own issues with how do you test for it? How do you do this or that? Because we're out for like I said, the rest of the year. And our kids are also going to be trying to learn, and I'm going to try to be, making knives. So it's going to be a struggle. And I feel like I probably have the least struggle of a lot of the parents out there because I worked from home to begin with. So I don't know how a lot of people are going to do it, but man, just hang in there. And I don't even know how we're going to do it.
Right.
I don't know if Abby's going to have to go to school to teach from there, or, it's because of the whiteboard and all that weird stuff they use.
Yeah.
So she's been fretting about her curriculum and how to present it, how to test for it, how to, what's fair, what's not fair. So a lot of unknowns. And that's, like Mark said, that's the scary part. But we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But don't say homeschooled around Abby. She'll be like, oh, I ain't doing shit.
Right.
Yeah. We got lucky that we happened to be on spring break when this went down.
Right.
So it's not like we had to automatically go into like some sort of online situation.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible timing for you guys, right? As far as the transition thing.
No. So, I haven't been working this past week because I was supposed to be off work. So And Abby's going to have enough time with the kids that I really needed to be doing all this week and stuff. So we just been kind of hanging out and doing stuff. It sucks. It's been raining. That's the tough part. So it's been a lot of, that's why everything is like craft. And, before we started podcasting, they were out here throwing darts. Not well. I mean, my door has a lot of holes in it, but whatever. But that's just Abby,
Right. Yeah.
Listen to this.
Yeah, right. You're dead. You'll get holes in you from some darts is what I'm feeling coming up, pal. So a good Instagram feed. I think I'm a music person. I love music. I like to play music. I love to listen to music. I think music has borderline medicinal quality, and at least for lots of people. And so there's a good Instagram that people might want to check out called Live From Here APM. That's the Instagram name, Live From Here APM. My friend Dave turned me on to this the other day, and there's a guy that plays mandolin, a well-known guy.
Dave Grohl?
What's that?
Dave Grohl?
No, a mandolin player named Chris. I can't pronounce his last name. That's why I didn't say it. It's Chris Thiele or Thiele, Thile. Fantastic mandolin player. So you're going to hear mandolin. You say, oh, he's a bluegrass guy. Trust me, this dude can play everything on the mandolin. He plays it very, very well. And it's not just him. The cool thing about this Instagram feed, Live From Here APM, is it's basically, he's got a series going now called Live From Home. So it's a little bit like the Fallon thing we talked about, right? Where it's entertainment, but everybody's playing from their house. And they do performances of songs and stuff, and the artists are fantastic. Chris is absolutely killer. Well worth checking out. And it's fun. It's uplifting. The music is great. And I think it's good for the soul. Listen to good music is good for you. So please check it out. It's a good thing. And it's the kind of stuff we need in kind of a weird time like this.
Yeah. Music moves you. It really does. Moves my body. just got to dang it.
Yeah. I left a long pause there for people to make sure that they could visualize Birch dance moves.
Those are reserved for the family only. Or maybe day 29 of quarantine.
Right. The dance off, right? As the happy hour moves earlier and earlier in the day, it's more likely that the Birch dance off starts to happen.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
All right. So we talked about how it's going. Different places. We talked about anxiety and self-isolation and some things we can do, stay in touch with one another to help. We talked a little bit about the groups and communities that we have, right? So whether it's groups like Michael's knife group or our Mark with a Maker group on Facebook or other ways through group chats or other stuff, you guys were talking about a fun thing that I've heard about from a number of different people doing like, since we can't go to the bar together or whatever, hang out or do knife show stuff. You guys were talking about doing like a happy hour thing with FaceTime or an app called Zoom, right?
Yeah.
So that's another fun thing. I think you can try that a little bit later today, right? Maybe when we're done with this.
Oh, yeah. That happens in about 25 minutes for us.
Nice.
Oh, Abby's here.
Oh, hey, Abby.
What happens in 25 minutes?
They can't hear you. You got to speak into the mic. A virtual happy hour.
I was coming to tell you I might be double booked.
You're double booked?
Whoa.
Oh, wow. Whoa.
Somebody's important.
I see how you are. Okay.
So normally we take all those kind of noises out. We're going to leave them in to keep it real.
Mm-hmm. Double booked.
Double booked. Social calendars are packed, son. You're going to have to reschedule.
Mm-hmm.
Too funny.
So, yeah. What were you saying now? I'm sorry.
No, just about staying in touch and using things like social media to do it or group chats or whatever. Stay in touch with people. We're going to try this happy hour thing. That should be fun. I know there's lots of people doing it. And lots of ways to do it, which is cool.
Yeah, and I heard someone mentioned another one that I hadn't heard of called, I'm sure someone's making money off of this right now. They're like, oh shit, a house party.
Oh, okay.
That's another group chat. It probably doesn't have a good system yet. I don't know if I want to be the trier of that when FaceTime works.
You don't want to be on the bleeding edge of that technology?
Mm-hmm.
All right. But what else do we want to hit on, man?
Let's see. Well, the the bummer of how do we think the knife industry is going to be impacted?
Yeah. It's going to be. They all are.
It will be. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
I think people are going to, at this moment, are probably trying to unload knives that they didn't want. So if you're into buying knives, just like stocks right now, if you're thinking that's something you want, it's probably a good time to pick up that knife that you've been wanting for a while.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I think it's the reality is that it's a luxury item thing for people, I think. And so, yeah, beyond the whole medical aspect of this thing, the economic impacts are going to be really substantial. They already are for lots of people. It's only going to get amplified as we get a little bit further along.
yeah.
For lots of reasons, right? More people are going to get sick. When more people get sick, stuff changes, and that more people that get sick includes things like doctors and law enforcement people and other stuff. People that are supposed to help us, right? And they're going to be impacted as well. So that's all important piece of this whole idea of slowing things down. But it impacts people directly financially, right? Think about all the people that aren't working in restaurants, right? All the wait staff and bartenders, right? Bartenders are a great job as long as people can come into the bar, but when they can't and it's pickup only, they're not making bartender money, right? They're not making tips and other stuff. They might be completely out of a job for a while, and that's rough on people.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but there's going to be businesses that go under. We're in for some very rough times. This isn't, someone said very early on, we can't prepare for a sprint. This is a marathon, this whole epidemic. And it's not just talking about the disease or whatever, it's talking about the economic impact it'll have later on.
For sure.
It's going to hurt. If you have the means, though, invest, maybe refinance, things like that. It is a good time to do those things if you can. But as far as like the knives and stuff, it goes back to the very simple thing we've said over and over, that buy what you love, and worst case scenario, you have a knife that you've always wanted, as opposed to being stuck with a knife you thought was going to be an investment. Definitely do not be investing in knives right now. Don't think you're going to get a turnover or something, If you're in for something, you better be in to want it and to keep it, is all I'm saying. And that's not a fear tactic or whatever. I'm just trying to be honest as a dude who makes knives and makes my living making knives.
Right.
So.
Yep. Yeah, it's it'll be interesting to see what happens with it. I think I don't know. Stuff's going to get tight. It's going to continue to be tight. It's impacting people that didn't really expect to be impacted. I mean, just over the starting Thursday, I think, and through Monday, I mentioned this to Michael. I work in the car industry. I've mentioned that on here before. And between the three big domestic automakers, there are like 103 manufacturing facilities closing until TBD date, really, right? I mean, we're saying the end of March, but who knows after that, depending on how things go. That has a direct impact on people, like no kidding, direct impact on the bottom line, right? The people that work in those factories, they're going to get some combination of unemployment and some supplemental pay, but it's going to be, I think, somewhere on the order of 75% of their normal pay. And there's a lot of people out there that if they had to live on 75%, take a 25% pay cut, they wouldn't make it very long, right? Before they end up in some trouble. So this is going to be a big deal. And all of those things are very challenging to stop, right? If you think about the entire supply chain of building something like a car or an appliance or any of the other big consumables that we have any manufacturing left for in the United States, stopping the supply chain takes some time. There's a lot of inertia there, and it's going to take some time to get it started. So once we get even a hint at an all clear on this thing or close or improvement in the situation, it's going to take a minute to get that stuff back up and rolling too. It doesn't happen instantly. So
yeah, it's interesting seeing that we are, some of the businesses shifting to make ventilators and stuff like that, the things we need.
Right.
It's almost like a wartime effort type of situation.
Yeah. I called it Arsenal of Democracy 2020 to one of the guys I was
talking. Yeah, it very much covers it. Sounds cool too. But yeah, these things are important. That's always been the big issue, is not having enough ventilators and stuff to cover it. And that's what, when people talk about flattening the curve, that's what they're talking about, is having enough beds for the sick people that need to be hospitalized. It is not just old people. Porter's talking to you.
He's from the basement?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Porter doesn't go up the stairs.
No.
And we may have talked about that before, but
I don't know if we have, for being like the tallest lab ever. He's afraid of stairs.
he's an enormous black lab, and he will not go up the stairs.
Mm-mm. Nope. So yeah, it's we've got tough times, but we will be okay. Like we said, buy what you want to keep, and it will be a great, if you have the means, it will be a great time to buy. The lotteries will probably be, for some of the more popular makers, will be there'll be less entries, and makers need to recognize that, this isn't a shot to your ego or anything like that. It's just the reality of the times. You'll be lucky to be selling, because there's going to be a lot of people that won't be able to sell stuff. So we have to be realistic with what we're doing.
For sure.
So, and that sounds very sad now that I think about it.
Oh, way to take us down, Michael.
A way to make myself sad. When's that happy hour? Shit.
Any minute now.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to continue doing the show. The what's going on doesn't impact us, I don't think, aside from availability and times and stuff from a show.
We're not going to be able to meet at our, take the jets to the podcast station where we usually do this together.
Right. Where the Mark of the Maker private jet goes around, picks us each up for an episode.
It's really going to suck.
Yeah. So we're going to do our best to keep it coming to you. We have some fantastic, at the risk of bragging, fantastic interviews coming up that we think you're really going to enjoy. And
one coming up that's a maker that we all love, and he doesn't even know that we love him so much. One of those guys, so humble yet so great.
Super humble, super awesome. It's going to be a great episode. I'm really, really looking forward to it. We have a couple.
Nobody's going to like it. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. It's going to be a great time. We got a couple topical things that are in the hopper too. I even hate to say this out loud. We keep talking about doing this Bill Moran episode. We had a little twist in the plan. We're going to try to get some additional ultra cool information from Moran, a Moran collector and friend who's going to try to help us out with a little bit of additional insight, which should be cool. And so that episode's coming as well. We haven't forgot about it. We are, believe it or not, actively working on it. So
yeah, we are.
That's coming.
It's we say this a lot, it sucks, but there's 4 of us, however many it is. Sometimes it's tough to get schedules together.
Schedules are hard.
Especially when Tom works all the time.
He's always over there making knives and shit.
Yeah, I'm always free. It's
right.
You busy? Nah, no, I don't need to do this.
Yeah, it is absolutely like herding cats. I will say that.
Yeah. So it's and we have obviously issues going on right now with not being able to leave places and doing stuff. So we're working around it and doing our best.
Yep. All right.
But if there's anything that you guys are wanting to hear during these weird times, let us know. Your feedback on the Facebook group or Instagram, whatever, is always helpful and interesting to read. So keep it up. Stay active.
Yep. If you haven't, we still have a few of these Mark of the Maker challenge coins left. So big thank you to everybody who's purchased one. All that money goes to help support the show. As always, our fantastic supporters on Patreon. We talked early at the kickoff of this thing about having some new microphones. Thanks to everybody. So we're reinvesting back into the show with that money. And hopefully what we're going to bring you is a better product that sounds better, that makes it a little easier for me, which means the episodes can get out a little bit more quickly. And if all that works out, we'll keep rolling. And in the end, you'll have a better show as a result.
Yeah. So if I end up in some sort of happy hour with you and I whip out a challenge coin, you don't have yours, you got to chug your beer your
No.
Gatorade or whatever you're drinking. The challenge coins are for, so you better get one.
Yeah, there you go. The virtual challenge for the challenge coin. I like it.
That's right.
Right on. All right. Well, like we talked before, take care of your people. Make sure your circle is safe. Take care of one another. People need help. Our neighbors needed some stuff the other day. We got it for them. We needed some stuff. They were heading out somewhere. They got it for us. It's all how this thing all works. So take care of one another.
Do you have an older neighbor that you had to get some stuff for?
We don't have an older neighbor. My parents live a little bit north of here, so no, we haven't had to do the older neighbor thing. But well, they're slightly older than us, but not older like in old people sense.
Abby's been texting they're in their 70s neighbors.
Yeah,
and he was like, it's a blower. Like, oh my god.
yeah. We do what we can.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Porter, high five. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Porter's not helping much.
He just wanted to get in on it.
Mm-hmm.
Porter is he's the Birch version of the train.
Pretty much. The kids are out playing washers or whatever.
Nice.
Sun's out a little bit, still cold. So
go ahead.
What's that?
So when the kids play washers, do you have like a little can cozy with like with Coke inside or something? It's like you can't play washers unless you have one hand occupied with a beverage. That's a rule, I thought.
Being 6 and 9, they haven't learned that you can't do that.
Oh.
Now, I see the wife from here. She has something in her hand.
Now we're talking.
And Melly, she was up here earlier when the kids were playing darts. She ran off with a dart.
Really?
So I'm kind of surprised they let her out with the washers.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not the brightest dog.
You got to find that dart. You don't want something perforated in old Melly.
No, I mean, she dropped it after a bit, but she grabbed it when it hit the floor and took off. I was like, everyone, back up.
Yeah, that could go horribly wrong really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, as always, thanks everybody for listening. Stay in touch with us. We'll stay in touch with you. We'll keep stuff coming your direction and take care of one another. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.
To learn more about our makers, you can find Tom Crine on the web at crineknives.net, in his Facebook group, Crine Knives, or in his Instagram account, @CrineKnives. For Michael Birch, check birchtreeblades.com, Facebook group Birch Tree Blade Works, or Michael's Instagram @BirchTreeBlades. For myself and the Raygun Bead Project, we're on the web at raygundivision.com. We have a Facebook group called Raygun Division, or my personal Instagram @msteiner. For those interested in photos, references from the show, or some discussion about the show itself, you can find us on the web at markofthemaker.com, in a Facebook group called Mark of the Maker, or on our Instagram @markofthemaker. Last but not least, the ultra cool and haunting background music we use for the show is a piece called Noir Guitar by Stevie's Amp Shack, found at the Free Music Archive and licensed under Creative Commons CC BY 4.0. Thanks for listening.